Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. A little later, a look at the legislative session that has come and gone. But first, a couple of broads who won't shut their pie holes. First, my colleague at 6:30 KHOW, Mandy Connell, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thrilled to be here and not shutting my pie hole.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you for stealing my morning show. I hope
I
it's
just want
working
to say
well.
this. I knew you were going to say that. I just want to throw this back at you, Jon. If it was your morning show, you'd be doing it.
Ooh,
That's right.
Well, I got no comeback.
There is none.
Laura Carno, of course, from I'm Created Equal, one of our favorites. I want to talk to you ladies about women, guns, gun control, and what happened in this last session with Dudley Brown's coalition killing a possible 30-round expansion of our magazines. And I think people who are plugged in politically understand what happened, that there was an opportunity, and there still is for the next session, of not a full repeal of the magazine ban from a couple of years ago, which I'd like to see, and I hope we'll get to, but an advancement that covers about 99% of all magazines, up to 30 rounds. And when we found out there was an opportunity, that some of the Democrats were open to this, I was floored to find out it was Republicans who wouldn't do this, and it turned out they were being pressured by a guy named Dudley Brown, who runs Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, who called your program, which set all sorts of things in motion. Now, you haven't been here all that long. This is a guy you probably don't know well. He called your show. What happened?
I started out with the conversation. I've been here almost 2 years, so in the grand scheme of catching up on all the history, it's a drop in the bucket. Well, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners kind of came onto my radar because of a peeing match between you and Dudley Brown. Well, I'm a huge Jon Caldara fan. Who isn't, really?
Who isn't?
So I sort of came on the show and said, I don't have an opinion about this group. I have no opinion. I'd like to hear from my listeners, because that's where you get a lot of great feedback. You kind of find out where the bodies are buried and how people really feel about it. Honestly, I was expecting an outpouring of support. That's what I really thought I was going to get. I got the exact opposite. I got people calling in and saying this guy's a bully. This guy is the worst thing ever. He's unreasonable. All he does is shake people down for money. I was actually surprised. And then at the commercial break, my producer hits me in my ear and says, Dudley Brown's on the phone. You want to talk to him? Well, of course I want to talk to him. I got him on the air, and the posturing that started immediately was significant. I think I'm being kind.
How do you mean?
You know, when people call and they know that people are either saying something bad about them or I'm saying something bad about them, you expect them to be a little bit defensive, okay? Right. You understand that. You understand where someone comes off a little defensive. But he came off as aggressive, and there's a difference. There's a little bit, you know, when you think you're defending your good name, you have a different posture about you than if you're coming in and dropping the gloves, and I feel like that's what happened. And as I was trying to drill down on what his issue specifically with you was, because I have a lot of respect for your opinions and how you arrive at them, he proceeded to just lay out a series of insults. Surrender monkey, and that's you. That's what your picture now is surrender monkey on my desk. And it was unnecessary, and it told me exactly who he was, exactly how he played ball, and that he was not particularly one person that had any interest in having a conversation or having a discussion or having even a slight back and forth about the issue. Right. It was about forcing people into what he wanted them to do.
What was amazing was that here's a guy who collects millions of dollars to fight for gun rights, or at least people think that, when in fact he's the reason we didn't get to a magazine advancement here that would take care of 99% of the ban. And when you asked him a reasonable question, well, what are you telling people, you know, gun owners and people who want to have those magazines? And he said something that really just stuck. He said, hey, if you want to have a magazine, shut your pie hole and ignore the law. Now, gun owners are pretty lawful people, but the operation was, hey, these are the laws. We're not going to settle for anything but a full repeal, which is not going to happen, at least not right now under these circumstances. And if you want something more, if you want your rights back, shut your pie hole and become a criminal.
It was worse than that. He said all around this state, gun owners are already breaking the law. So let's just say that he's right. Let's assume that that is a correct. But do you really want to call attention to it and possibly risk the licensing of these people who make their living and feed their family by selling firearms? And ultimately, that's what he was suggesting, that everyone should just go out and flout the law. I may hate the law, but what choice do I have? I mean, until you can change
Well,
it, you
have the
got to
choice,
abide by it.
ignore the law and become a criminal. Now, this got your attention. You've been very involved, including in the recalls that happened over gun control, and you spoke on behalf of a lot of women and women's organizations during those recalls about their concerns about these terrible gun laws. What grabbed you about this interview, and what did you do with it?
What grabbed me was a guy saying, "Shut your pie hole," when safety was involved. And so picture a woman today getting a restraining order against a violent ex-husband, and she's going to go get her first gun. And we know that the biggest growing group of gun owners is women, because they're seeing the safety aspect and the self-reliance aspect of being able to defend themselves. And so it's fine for Dudley Brown, who probably has an arsenal. I have plenty of firearms and magazines. This isn't about my safety, but this woman, and these things are happening on a regular basis, who needs today her first firearm for protection. And he's saying, because I am a purist, or I'm going to put myself out there as a purist. You're stuck with 15 until we get full repeal. So you can't have that firearm that fits your hand the best, that happens to have a 16 or 17 round mag. You can't have that. Shut your pie hole.
Shut your pie hole.
And that was not okay for him to say that, because as we talked about in the recalls, guns are a women's issue. Guns are the great equalizer.
You wrote this little simple blog post, which I thought
little
was
blog.
They got thousands and thousands of hits, where basically you said, "I will not shut my pie hole." And you basically laid out this very simple argument that, yeah, this is an interesting debate that men are having about, should we recall, should we have a full repeal, should we do this, should we wait for a full repeal, if it will ever happen. And you brought up a couple points. Not only that, hey, there are women here who need the freedom of choice for what they feel is right for them, but you also said, you know, you win by taking the ground you can get. What do you mean by that?
Right, and so in Ohio, we became friends during the recall with the Buckeye Firearms Association. They self-deployed 6 people out here for 10 days during the recall because they didn't want to sit on their couches. Great people. But they have a really great, strong statewide organization that is working on gun rights in Ohio. And that's exactly what they do. They take ground, even if you can't get there all at once. And just earlier this year in 2015, they removed all of their magazine size limitations because they went there slowly. So I want people to see it is possible. This isn't a surrender monkey philosophy. There's a way to get there, and we should absolutely be doing that.
Well, Dave Kopel was attacked by an ad he put together, calling it the Kopel Compromise, both with K's, and he called it the Salazar, who was the Democrat on the Kill Committee, who said, you know, I would be open to having 30 rounds be legal again, and said this was the Salazar-Kopel Compromise. Of course, we've never talked to Salazar. I don't think Kopel has either. Liar! Liar! And so he put this out. Now, I'm looking at a guy who has spent 25 years in the gun rights movement, who brought Colorado's concealed carry bill to passage here. Dudley Brown opposed that. If he won 10 years ago, we'd be one of a couple of states now without a permit system statewide. You know, and to call, you know, it seems like there is no one more pure than that one guy. You had this conversation, you talked about it on the air. What was the feeling from everyone else that called in?
I can't even tell you how few emails or comments of support I got. And you know, that's surprising. We have a conservative audience. We have a very Second Amendment audience, and they take their gun rights very seriously, but they're also rational people. And I think a lot of people are kind of tired of being jerked around, and they're starting to open their eyes and saying, wait a minute, I've sent this guy donations over the years, I've sent this guy money, and yet, as you say, what has he actually accomplished? Nothing. I mean, nothing. It's not like he's got a record that you say, well, we win some, you lose some, of any real significance. Otherwise, if he was as powerful as he wants us to believe, would we have a 10-round limit? Would that be law right now?
The coalition that is starting to come together to say, hey, legislators, if you stand up to him, we've got your back. I was amazed to see how many gun owners from all sorts of different levels of conservatism, from Dick Wadhams to Bob Beaupre to Tom Tancredo to the editor of the editorial of the Gazette, all coming out and saying this guy is a bad player. let's get this advancement. You know, we've got your backs. And what they ended up doing was writing a letter to me, admonishing me on how bad this proposition was, and got 26 of 51 Republicans to sign it, saying this was bad. That is a lot of power for one guy to have. What's funny is several of these 26 came to me and said, you know, no, we really do support it. We just can't be public about it because Dudley Brown will primary us, and one of those ugly tell me about the kind of primaries he does.
Right. So when he first came to my attention, when I was sort of in Mandy's position of just getting here and hearing names, what I noticed, and I live in El Paso County, so I first started paying attention to those races, is people who he was helping were lying about their primary opponents. And it might not have been on guns, but it might have been on gay marriage. So I know some people who are not supportive of gay marriage, but voters got mailers that said this person is in favor of gay marriage. So I started understanding him by knowing it's not okay to lie about people. And if you have to lie to win a primary, you need to find another line of work. But they're vicious.
But it is vicious, and it's something that ruins families because you don't want to have whatever lies popping out affect your kids, affect your family. It's brutal, and it really is amazing. It's been estimated that in the last decade we've lost 12 to 15 seats because of these type of primaries, including one in the Senate a few years back that if we had won, the gun ban thing never would have passed because they had that one vote majority.
You have to wonder how many good candidates have stayed out of these races. Mm-hmm. Why would you put yourself out there? Politics is nasty enough, and if you think that you're going to be viciously attacked based on lies, does that keep somebody who is a quality candidate who may keep them out of the race? I mean, that's a significant question when you're dealing with this stuff and people that believe that it's okay on their one issue to destroy someone personally. Like I said, politics it's not tiddlywinks, okay? We all know this, but it certainly doesn't have to be as nasty as it appears to have been up to this point.
Rocky Mountain Gun Owners has this incredible testosterone-filled image, bare-chested, this, you know, we're gonna fight, but they wouldn't even want a floor vote on re-legalizing magazines because then their caucus would either have to choose between their constituents or Dudley Brown. And that's why they fought so hard not to have a floor vote on a late bill, a new bill, that would re-legalize those magazines. You once made a comment that you see these Rocky Mountain Gun Owner stickers on people's cars, and I see them. It's a great thing to have. And you said, I want to pull them over and just have a little chat, which is such a wonderful feminine way of saying it, because I want to say something else, but it's true.
You want to do the pit maneuver.
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, but you have a way of saying it because these people who have the sticker, these are good people who just don't know that a huckster is taking their money and working against gun rights.
Yeah, the number of people who know I work in the gun rights movement that come up to me and say, oh, I sent $50 to Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, and I go, oh no. And they think they're doing the right thing because it's Rocky Mountains, it's gun owners. What could be wrong with that? And they just don't know, as you said, the huckster notion of what's going on there.
Incredible. Laura, thank you for all you do, and thank you for that great interview that sparked so many other things. Stay tuned.